My wife, the kids, and my lovely mother-in-law are moving in. Complaining won't help, it's already decided. My son's words hit the center of my living room like a nail, and he turned away like an officer giving an order. I sat in the wicker chair by the window, my teacup trembling slightly in my hand. He didn't glance back once. The keys in his pocket clicked against the metal, marking the rhythm of a decision already made. In that moment, all the years of hard work and savings felt like furniture he could move at will. My name is Mary. I'm 70. This house is my sanctuary, built with half a lifetime of savings, countless sleepless nights, and early morning shifts. Since I was 35, I worked as a cleaner, sewed at night, sold goods at the weekend market. Many nights I returned to my small rented room, checking my child's homework while listening to his breathing. My husband passed away early, bills piled in the corner. When Ethan was little, he would bury his head in my arms, promising that when he grew up, he would give me a warm home. I believed him. Every paycheck became a brick, stacked slowly to build the steps, buy this door, this land, this floor that belonged to me. Ethan was clever and charming from a young age. After he married, we helped him with the down payment, numbers I only remembered in my dreams. When he divorced, I cared for the children, took them to school, stayed up at night holding a sick grandchild. I never mentioned these nights to outsiders. I thought it was what a mother should do. On holidays, when they came over, kids spilling juice on the sofa, his wife scrolling on her phone in the kitchen, I bent down to clean it. She smiled and said, "It's fine," politely. I believed endurance was equivalent to love. He thought my years had molded me into a pliable vessel. After that sentence, I stayed silent the whole afternoon. Outside, cars passed, neighbors walked by. Joe, our neighbor, tugged at his apron and quietly asked if I needed help. I shook my head, but a quiet fire had ignited within me, not to challenge his authority, but to protect my modest dignity. I began preparing, but not impulsively. Like sewing, I acted with care and patience. Early the next morning, I went to a hardware store and bought a new lock. Not one that could be forced open, but an electronic lock with a keypad. I quietly replaced the old lock. My hand trembled as I entered the code, each number a reassertion of my boundaries. Joe helped carry out old furniture. I told him I was tidying up, and he nodded, reading between the lines. I installed 2 tiny cameras in the living room, one facing the door, one the room. They were as small as specks on a teacup, the cords hidden behind the study desk. In the kitchen cabinet, I placed an old tape recorder, a tool I used for years to record bills and messages. That day, I put it on the windowsill and pressed record, capturing Ethan's announcement about moving. His voice crackled on the tape, dismissive, hurried, preserved exactly. Then I gathered all important documents, property deeds, old bills, and his debts to me, putting them in an iron box I had long kept for documents, stored in my bedroom safe with a password only I knew. The key I hid inside an old book, not in a drawer, not anywhere obvious. Locks and cameras weren't enough. If they tried to force entry, someone could get hurt, and it could spiral out of control. I contacted a trusted lawyer, the daughter of a cleaner I had met while working at City Hall, now with legal aid. She came to my home, sat at the dining table, examined receipts, transfers, and the tape. Her brow furrowed, then relaxed. She explained my rights clearly. The property deed is in my name, no co-owners, no one may enter forcibly. She prepared a statement as evidence if I ever needed it. I didn't immediately tell Ethan. Revenge, for me, wasn't a dramatic outburst. It was like weaving, tightening each thread carefully. Over a few days, I moved excess items to a small rented storage unit, old coats, the worn sofa, 2 broken coffee tables. The living room held only a folding chair and a small table with tea for 2. I cleared the fridge, leaving only water and a slightly oversalted soup, intentional. Under the kitchen lamp, I removed a photo of their smiling faces from my wall, sealed it in a plastic bag, attached a note labeled evidence, lightly burned the corners for an effect of a ready-to-send insert. I tucked a small note under the door mat with warning numbers and Joe's phone as backup. The police number was saved under Mom's security on my phone. Every step followed in order, like cooking. Light the fire, add oil, ladle soup, sprinkle salt, cover. Each act reclaimed the home for me. That evening, they arrived. Children carried toys and luggage, his wife smiling, finally settled. Ethan wore a victorious expression. They tried the old key. The electronic lock glowed red, unresponsive. Ethan frowned, searching for other keys, hands trembling. The once confident man was unmasked, panicked. His wife tried calming the children. Little feet kicked the mat. He knocked, first gently, then pounding with his fists, dull and urgent. I set down my tea and peeked through the peephole. His forehead was slick with sweat, lips pale, veins bulging. I watched him toss his assumed rights like luggage outside the door. "Mom, are you in there?" His voice echoed hollow. "I am." My reply was soft, enough to make my presence known, but nothing more. He cursed, anger and shame in his tone. He called me stubborn, said, "You're too old to be unreasonable." He pounded and shook the door repeatedly. The children cried. His wife hid her face. Neighbors peeked from behind curtains, whispering. I didn't call the police immediately. Instead, I played the recording from the window. Ethan's voice on the tape was clear and cold. Complaining won't help. It's already decided. The children's cries and his shouting clashed harshly on the street. His wife's eyes widened as if hearing him for the first time. Ethan froze, like a puppet caught in place. I calmly displayed the property deed and lawyer statement through the peephole, visible to all outside. Someone called the police. When they arrived, I handed over the recording and camera footage. The day he announced the move, his retreating back, his boasts to neighbors. The officers reviewed the papers, glanced at him outside, and explained politely, legally, this is private property. Entry cannot be forced. Power slipped from his hands. He pounded his chest, fear creeping into his voice. His testimony looked fragile in the neighbor's eyes. His wife was silent, the smile cracking. Children tugged at her sleeve, asking why Grandma wouldn't let them in. Her eyes reflected complexity, seeing a side of her husband for the first time. I didn't gloat at the door. I returned the tapes, deeds, receipts to the iron box and turned off the lights. That night, I slept peacefully, a tranquility I hadn't afforded myself in years. The next day, I wrote a letter, calm and orderly, no accusations. I listed the down payment he owed me, expenses for caring for the children, temporary bills I covered, and replacement costs for the bone china cup his wife had verbally insulted me and broken. I included copies of old bank transfers. The letter ended, "If you respect family and responsibility, settle according to the statement. If you think this is charity, I only reclaim what is mine." After sending it, the situation didn't vanish instantly. Ethan first raged, then confused. Days later, he transferred the sum, adding, "Mom, I know I was wrong." His words carried exhaustion and shame. His wife limited his home visits. The children cried at school, asked if Grandma disliked them. Neighbors began discussing his character. Former friends stopped inviting him. What satisfied me wasn't the money, but that he had learned to bow his head. Months later, he stood at my door, pale and trembling, asking for forgiveness. His fingers shook, his eyes were timid. That helplessness, once soothed by my embrace, had become the debt he ignored. I didn't scold him harshly or lecture. I opened the door, letting him stand on the threshold, head bowed like a child. Every word I spoke was simple and firm. What you need to learn is not how to occupy others' space, but how to respect boundaries. My words were gentle yet resolute, like a placed napkin. He begged for more forgiveness, even over the phone, asking for help with work, money, and childcare. I listened, noted each word, but didn't agree. He learned patience and reflection, faced his helplessness. His wife left for months with the children. Ethan moved to a small city apartment. His voice over the phone became thin. Revenge wasn't the life I wanted. It was setting boundaries and reclaiming self-respect long buried by time. I regained my home, my dignity. Neighbors saw me as a mirror, not because I humiliated him, but because they witnessed an elder living for herself.